the channel. We are going to do a shop tour today. I promised you a shop tour a month ago, maybe a little over. I don't know how long ago, but anyway, I have not done it, and I said I was going to do it after I finished this workbench, workstation, whatever you want to call it, and it's done now. So now it's time to do it. I did not clean up my bench top. This is what this bench top looks like basically all the time, so I'm not going to clean it up because that's just what the shop looks like. So that's part of the shop tour. This is my main workbench for small things, anything I need to beat on, and all of my knife stuff happens right here. I use the holes in it, and I have drawers right here and a whole dowel, so I have a little bit of the dog system that I can hold stuff on there, keep it square. It's a good bench for stuff like that. Obviously my vise is mounted on it. My Parker vise is like 100 years old. I found it out there. Right behind there was a building. We tore it down and I pulled that vise out from behind there, so that's pretty cool. First off, before I even get into this, if you only watch this video to know why there is a giant secret compartment under my shop, go to the end. If you want to actually see the video, keep watching. So this is my table saw. This is a Craftsman 12-inch direct drive table saw. People kind of hate direct drive. I found that out after I bought this one because there is an overload switch. It will, if you overload it, it will stop. But if you have belt drive, you also have more cut and you have that slip factor, so you're not going to burn up your motor. I love it. I mean, it doesn't get perfectly square. For most stuff, you don't notice that, and it's really a tiny, tiny amount, so it's fine. This is my main workbench. I'm going to back you up here. Battery died, sorry. Well, what is it with the lighting? That's super weird. Anyway, this is my main workbench. This is a 4x8 sheet of melamine with 3/4 inch band on the edge. So I think the total is a little bit over, I think. I did cut some things, so I'm not quite certain. But it should be at least 4x8 feet. Having something this big and this flat to lay out frames on, lay out whatever you're going to work on. You can have several products going at once. It's also cleanable. You can scrape glue off of it, everything. It's a great glue up table. I absolutely love this thing. This is the new workbench. This is not really a workbench, it's a cutting station, and also got my buffer on it. But, let me switch on your microphone here actually. Okay, now you can probably hear me way too well. Anyway, miter saw, obviously the most used, one of the most used tools in the shop. Cross-cutting stuff is just so fast with that thing. The dog system I have to keep things straight along there, I love that. I can back it up, fold the miter saw down, and use the radial arm saw dog system, which is the same pieces, just moving back and forth. I love that. That's great. The radial arm saw, it's great for big cross cuts. Just got it, so I haven't, or just got it working, so I'm not really using it much. I haven't used it much, but it's really, really good. The buffer, I use that for my knife stuff. That's not really associated with the wood stuff, but if you need to polish something small, you can't really beat it. In case you didn't see it in the video, I'll just show you how it folds. It's a garage door lock. Piece of wood. Yeah, that's the only problem. It falls down out of the way of everything else. It's just like, I love how it works. It's pretty heavy. Got my battery charger up there too for no apparent reason. A little bit of heater, don't need to worry about that. My quench bucket is a beautiful, beautiful quench bucket. That's for my belt grinder because the belt grinder, I use that a ton. This is for mostly the knife making. I use it a ton for that, but I use it virtually every single project. Something hits the belt sander. Having a 6x48 belt sander is amazing. I just burnt out a belt today, so I have to actually fix it. But anyway, the Craftsman drill press is the only commercial Craftsman tool I have, and everybody laughs at the belt because it is like a rubber band belt. I mean, it's super, super small, but I don't really care. It's not frayed at all. It hasn't broken. It's like 40 something years old, so it's fine. This is my template collection. This wall's obviously not covered. That's the rest of the building that we're not really using. It's just like storage right now. I will have pegboard on here eventually. Probably never going to be insulated, but I don't know. We've been thinking about that this winter because it's getting cold. This workbench, we've already talked about this one a little bit. I can't say it's my favorite because the other ones won't fit my favorite, but it's a really, really, really close second. And it's a different purpose, so it's different. Planer, rigid planer, nothing too fancy there. It's just a 13-inch planer. It cuts fine. It dulls really, really fast. I have to replace the blades again. Use it a lot, like every couple months at least. You have to replace them or sharpen them. I haven't had the gumption to sharpen a blade yet because that's just like, I don't know, that's hard. This is my joiner. It's a 6 1/8 joiner, I think. And just to give you, I'm gonna run you around so you know what we're actually looking at here. So there's the joiner, and then planer. I'm looking at the screen, sorry. I know it looks weird, but there's the planer, and then the big workbench over there. All my tools and stuff over there. Right there, yep. And then the belt sander, and the drill press is in the corner, and then the big workbench, bandsaw, big table in the middle, all that stuff, and then we're back around to the planer and the shapers over there with the corner in the corner. I don't think we've ever actually done that and shown you what everything looked like compared to each other. So this thing really needs to be sharpened. I've been scared to take the blades off, honestly, because I don't know if I'm going to get them back on the right orientation again. And it's 40 something years old, probably never been sharpened, never been replaced or anything. Really need to do that. That'll probably be in a video coming up. Also doesn't have dust collection, so it's just got a bin sitting under it, which is not the most amazing thing. But the shavings are big enough, it doesn't really matter that much. You can kind of tell how much I use the shaper because there's a toaster oven on top of it, which I use for my knife tempering. I do not use the shaper that much. Let me give you a closer look here. Move this. It's great, it works. I probably need to put a new belt on it because I think it's a little bit polished, or at least tension it. It's solid, but it doesn't have very much power for some reason. It always slips, which is probably due to that belt thing. The adjustments, I love the adjustments, how everything works on that. I just don't need something this big very often, even though it's only a 1/2 inch post, and these things go up to like 1 inch or 1.25 inches. It's kind of too big. I can do everything with the router that I need to do. These cabinets in the corner, not really anything spectacular about those, and my rock tumblers up top, which is one of the coolest things I've ever made. And we come to the Shopsmith, which is the thing most people, I mean, the following that these things has is incredible to me. How many people absolutely love Shopsmith, and it doesn't make sense to me. I keep it in the lathe form because I don't need it for anything else. I have every other tool this thing can be in a single piece, and with its own stand, its own place, everything. I don't need it. It holds a router table, so it does do that, but this would be very easy to build separately. I'm not really crazy about that. It works, it's fine. It's a good lathe, I will give it that. It's a very good lathe. It's a big lathe. This thing will cost like $4 or $5 grand to get something, a nice one, this quality, this long. It's good. It does that well. No complaints about it as a lathe. As a table saw, I don't really like it, honestly. The Shopsmith guy, my growth rings, if you're watching this, forgive me, but I do not like the table saw. I will take the Craftsman one any day. It's just not my favorite. I don't like the bandsaw either. I have another bandsaw that seems to be better. I probably set it up wrong or it's not adjusted right or something, but I have the other tools. I'm not gonna worry about it on this one. It's a great lathe. Everything else was kind of mid for me. I don't know. And this is the bandsaw I was just talking about, which is a great 12-inch Craftsman bandsaw. It's an old 70s Craftsman, just like the other tools I got. A bunch of leaves hitting the roof. I hope you can't hear that very well. It's fine. I mean, it cuts. It's not amazing, but it is a bandsaw, and it's 12-inch throat, which is pretty big. It can cut up to like 7 inches high, which is kind of surprising for something this small. I have a vacuum setup on there that'll go to the miter saw. It'll also reach the radial arm saw, and I have an adapter on the bandsaw, so that does all those. The table saw has a vacuum over there. Joiner no vacuum, planer has a vacuum, so that does both of those. Nothing else actually has vacuum ports, so everything else, just when I use it, dust goes everywhere. This is the wall of power. I know you've already seen that. I made a video, and you see all my videos and stuff if you watch them. But it's cool. I mean, these are all my hand tool collection and some decorations from when this thing was a milk barn. That's from that. Now we're going to go into the blacksmith section. This is really cool stuff. Okay. One of my most modern wings of the shop. There's not much in here really. Metal cutting bandsaw, which is completely wrecked right now because I need new blades, and I totally toasted that one. Mobile vise, so I can move that around for all my forging stuff and everything. Little shelf to hold stuff, and the anvil's rusty. I need to clean that up, but that's not a big deal. Quenching oil, forge, doors so I can have really good ventilation and keep my propane outside. No big deal there. This is all the Shopsmith stuff that I don't use that gets stored in here because really nice Inker crosscut table. That's a good table. I should use that more. My metal storage, so all of my stuff for knife making goes over there. A door I haven't put up yet after like 6 months. And this is just more storage in here, random stuff that you don't need to see. Scrap roofing that is taking up way too much space. And then the scroll saw. The scroll saw is something, one of the separate ones I picked up when I didn't get, the big bundle I got of Craftsman tools was the bandsaw, the joiner, the drill press, wasn't the table saw, the shaper, and the belt sander. That was the big set I got for free, which was awesome. That really got me going. And then I picked up this one for like 40 bucks, which is kind of expensive for a scroll saw actually. I kind of wish I didn't get it because I don't use it. It just sits in here. The bandsaw does everything I need it to because I'm not doing really fine interior cuts very often. But for that one function, if you need to drill a hole and cut something out in the middle of a sheet, there's no other tool for it. One thing that you might think would be a really weak spot in this shop is my wood storage, which is minimal. It's very, very minimal. This is about half of my wood storage. I have another tiny shelf over there. And then I have everything in this corner, which is the extent of my stick long stuff storage, which is plenty. I try to keep it really, really lean and not have a lot of scrap that I don't need. I don't keep small chunks, I just throw it out. I'm often dealing with pine and spruce and fir, stuff that's not really valuable, so I don't keep those small pieces. I just throw them out, I burn them. It just keeps everything nice and clean. You may have noticed in the other room that I do have some sheet goods past that wall. Not much of a wall, just the studs, but I do have some sheet goods in there that are just too big to store in this main room. If you're wondering about square footage, this room is about 600 square feet. I think it's about 680 square feet. This is the main shop. That's what I'm working in, 680 square feet. The entire building's about 1,200, closer to 1,300, I think. This room, I honestly don't know how big it is. It's probably about 200 square feet. This shop can do absolutely anything. I mean, I've built sheds in here, like built the components to move them, and I've built knives, and I've built carved birds and all kinds of tiny little things and huge things and everything that you can possibly think of. I have all the tools, even if they aren't the best tools. They all work. If you take care of them, keep things sharp, replace belts, replace blades. There's not a reason for these tools to be any worse than Powermatic or Shopfox or Jet or Delta or any of those better brands. So the moment you've all been waiting for, maybe it's not really that crazy, but why is there a secret place, compartment, storage compartment, whatever you want to say, under my shop? It's not really my shop, for one thing. I don't own it, so don't get that misconception. But anyway, this used to be a milking barn or a milk parlor, depending on who you are. And they used to stand in this pit, which is under me, and the cows would be up here, and they would milk the cows. Very unromantic, very practical, not anything just too spectacular, but I will show you what it looks like underneath anyway. If you've been watching my videos for a long time, you've probably heard this sound. It's not a very nice sound, but it's this old creaky floor. I actually built this floor. It's not as old as it looks, but this was not a building a while ago, and this is all exposed, so this was outside for several years, and it wore out and dried out and cupped and everything quite a bit. Anyway, there it is. It looks creepy enough. Let's get you down in there. Full of dust. For size comparison, you know, there's a table saw that's about 3 feet maybe right there. That table's 8 feet long. The pit goes from about 4 inches from that wall to all the way over here. I think it's about 27 feet long, 3 feet deep, 7 feet wide, I think. It's pretty big. Put you down in there. Very, very nasty, dusty. It's not an incredibly nice place to be, but anyway, here we go. Yeah. You're not gonna be able to see anything in here. Okay, you can see a little bit. Look at the dust on this floor. It's just like piles and piles of dust. Doesn't stick, look at that. This is where my table saw is, and it's just like piles of dust, and there's some washers and junk that falls through the cracks because all those boards are shrunk down. Back up. Maybe I won't back up down the tunnel actually. There's not much reason to come down here usually, so I don't if I don't have to, but I do occasionally when I drop something, and it's usually not fun because it's only like 2 feet or something. There's definitely some crawl spaces that are worse, like every crawl space ever. So anyway, that's what the pit looks like, and that's why it's there. I don't actually have anything stored down there because I would never get it out again if I did. So there you go. That's what my shop looks like. It's not huge, but it's bigger than most people's shops by a healthy margin. I didn't talk about these giant doors that I built. They're like 8 feet tall and like 7 feet wide. They're really nice if you want airflow in the summer and stuff. This is my shop. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you don't feel like I started here because I did not. I started doing woodworking before we even moved to this property that we're on right now. I started doing woodworking. I was building stuff mostly outside, and if not, it was in like a 20 by 30 workshop that was full of other stuff. So I had like maybe like a 4 by 6 area that we were working in. Dad bought the Shopsmith like 18 years ago or something. It's now in here. It used to be in there. We didn't have any of these other tools then when I started. Yeah, none of the stuff. The miter saw came at that house, but that was our first bigger tool that we bought to add to the shop. So none of this stuff existed when I started doing woodworking. It was just other tools that we had. I replaced a lot of the tools that Dad had with tools of my own. So like The circular saw was one of the first things I got. Nail gun's mine, the jigsaw's mine, the drills are mine, 2 of them at least. A bunch of the hammers are mine, and all of these craftsman tools are mine, but the building itself is not mine. I do work in here, I do run my, not really a business, but if people need a project done, I do it and I get paid for it, so that's kind of a business. Don't feel like you can't build stuff unless you have a building like this. You can build stuff with a saw and a hammer and nails. You can build a whole lot of things. I'm holding it with my left hand now, and it feels really weird, and it looks really shaky, so I'm gonna go back to my right hand. This video is a little bit different than usual. Just talking, nothing extraordinary happening, no working happening, so probably not as interesting. But anyway, hopefully a really good video. Hopefully it answered your questions about my shop, what it's shaped like, where exactly am I, and what this thing is. I gotta watch out for my hole. I don't wanna fall down that hole right there. We'll get you excited, maybe give you some organizational tips. This shop usually stays pretty clean. This surface usually is about this clean, unless I'm right in the middle of a project. This, I cleaned the dust off before I filmed, but that was it. The floor, it's gonna get dust on it, but I clean up pretty regularly. I've been talking too much anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Please come back for more. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next one.